In the fast pace of everyday life, we often encounter challenging situations that test our mental resilience. From facing tight deadlines at work to dealing with interpersonal conflicts, we are constantly challenged to maintain composure and clarity of thought in the face of the pressures of modern life. In these situations, we find a valuable source of inspiration in the Stoic lessons of Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher-emperor, who left us a legacy of wisdom to strengthen mental resistance. Think of a stressful situation at work, where time seems to slip away and demands accumulate in an overwhelming way. In these moments, it's easy to succumb to anxiety and despair, allowing external pressures to undermine our confidence and determination. However, it is precisely in these moments of adversity that Marcus Aurelius's lessons resonate with greater intensity. By applying Marcus Aurelius's teachings to our daily experiences, we find a transformative approach to facing challenges with courage, serenity, and determination. He reminds us that despite external circumstances, we are the masters of our own mind, capable of cultivating an inner fortitude that transcends external tribulations. By letting go of concerns about what others think or do, we find an inner freedom that allows us to face challenges with dignity and authenticity. If you want to improve your mental toughness and incorporate the valuable lessons of Stoicism into your life, I invite you to embark on this journey of self-discovery and personal growth. In this video, we will explore the philosophy of Marcus Aurelius and some Stoic practices as powerful ways to strengthen the mind and cultivate resilience in the face of adversity. If this topic interests you, leave a like and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any content. Also, join the discussion in the comments by sharing the quote of the day. My mind will be resilient. Together, we can inspire and strengthen each other on this path of growth and self-transformation. 1. Focus, not present. Imagine yourself on a ship sailing through rough waters, facing storms that threaten to capsize your vessel at any moment. You're on deck, holding tight to the rudder, trying to stay on course as the raging waves crash against the ship's hull. It's a fight against the forces of nature, a battle for survival amid the chaos of the ocean. In this turbulent scenario, a calm and serene figure emerges. It is Marcus Aurelius who approaches to offer his wise advice on how to face adversity with mental toughness. He looks at the rough sea and smiles, as if he sees beyond the choppy waves, seeing the calm that lies in the eye of the storm. To master mental toughness, we must learn to focus on the present, says Marcus Aurelius, as he watches the waves crash around the ship. It tells the story of a skilled sailor who, in the midst of a violent storm, kept his focus on the present moment, adjusting the rudder as necessary to face each wave with dexterity and determination. This sailor understood that he could not control the forces of nature, but he could control his response to them. He didn't allow himself to panic or worry about what the future might bring. Instead, he kept his mind calm and focused on the present, trusting in his skill and experience to safely navigate through the storm. Marcus Aurelius reminds us that, in the same way, we face storms in our lives, moments of difficulty and uncertainty that threaten to bring us down. However, like the sailor in the midst of the storm, we can find strength and stability by focusing on the present moment. Power is in the now, says Marcus Aurelius with conviction. He encourages us to let go of worries about the past and future, and to anchor our minds in the present, where all possibilities lie. The present is the only time we can act, the only time we can shape our destiny, he continues. By focusing on the present, we free ourselves from the chains of regret for the past and anxiety for the future. Instead, we find peace and serenity in the present moment, where we can make conscious choices and respond to life's challenges with courage and determination. Mental resistance is the ability to remain calm in the midst of turbulence, teaches Marcus Aurelius. It's finding silence within the storm, peace in the eye of the hurricane. By focusing on the present, we find the peaceful center of our own existence, where we can remain grounded even when the world around us is in turmoil. Therefore, it is necessary to learn to cultivate the ability to focus on the present. You can find strength and stability in the present moment, confidently navigating through the storms of life. For it is in the now that we find the power to shape our destiny and master the mental resistance that holds us back from reaching our true potential. 2. Control of thoughts. Imagine the following situation. You are on top of a mountain, surrounded by the vast horizon while the first rays of the sun paint the sky with golden tones. It is in this grandiose setting that we find a profound lesson about mental resistance, a lesson taught by the ancient rocks that bravely resist the passage of time. Let me guide you through this inspiring journey, exploring the Stoic lessons of Marcus Aurelius as we connect with nature. Gaze at the towering rocks that rise before you, each carrying the story of millennia of experiences. Despite the storms that ravage them and the winds that whip them, they remain firm and unshakable. Just like rocks, we are challenged by stormy winds in our lives, moments of uncertainty and adversity that test our inner strength. Marco Aurelio teaches us that mental resistance begins with controlling our thoughts, a skill we can learn by observing the nature around us. Just as rocks resist the elements, we can learn to weather the storms of the mind, challenging negative and irrational thoughts that threaten our inner peace. Look now at the sky above you, where the clouds move slowly, driven by the gentle breeze. Each cloud is like a passing thought that comes and goes, sometimes bringing rain and storms, other times bringing light and clarity. Just like clouds, our thoughts come and go, but we don't need to hold on to them. Marco Aurelio reminds us that we have the power to choose our thoughts, to challenge the negative narratives that try to imprison us. Instead of letting ourselves be carried away by the dark clouds of worry and anxiety, we can find clarity and serenity by actively challenging the thought patterns that hold us back from reaching our true potential. Contemplate now the eternal cycle of nature, where each season brings its own beauty and challenges. In winter, trees shed their leaves, but they maintain hope that spring will bring renewal and growth. In spring, flowers bloom and birds sing, reminding us that life always finds a way to renew itself. Just as nature adapts to the changing seasons, we can learn to accept the ebb and flow of life, finding strength in our ability to adjust to circumstances. Marco Aurelio teaches us that true mental resistance is not in resisting change, but in embracing the impermanence of life and finding peace in the midst of turbulence. By observing the nature around us, we can find inspiration for cultivating mental toughness in our own lives. Just like rocks that stand the test of time, we can learn to challenge the negative thoughts that threaten our inner peace. Just like clouds that come and go, we can consciously choose the thoughts we feed into our minds. And just like the seasons that follow each other, we can find strength in our ability to adapt to life's changes. 3. Acceptance of what cannot be changed. On life's journey, we encounter challenges that test our mental and emotional resilience. Amid the storms that rage over us, the wise words of Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic philosopher, shine like beacons of wisdom, guiding us through internal and external storms. He teaches us the first fundamental lesson: acceptance of what we cannot change. Nothing happens to those who don't accept bad things as part of the cycle of things, said Marco Aurelio. These words echo as a gentle reminder that to achieve true inner peace, we must embrace reality as it is, without trying to mold it according to our fleeting desires. Acceptance is not surrender. It's the first step toward freedom from the prison of unrealistic expectations. Imagine yourself facing a vast and unpredictable ocean, whose raging waves cannot be tamed. Resisting these forces is a losing battle. Instead, learn to swim with the currents, to ride the waves of change. Just as the skilled sailor does not fight the tides, but uses them to his advantage, we too can learn to flow with the current of life, accepting the ebbs and flows with serenity and grace. Mental toughness is not about toughening yourself against adversity, but rather about developing the flexibility and resilience to face challenges calmly and courageously. As Marcus Aurelius said, mental toughness is the ability to remain calm in the midst of turbulence, to find peace in the eye of the storm. It is a power that resides within us, waiting to be awakened and cultivated. By accepting what cannot be changed, we release a heavy burden that binds us to the past or drags us towards an imaginary future. We learn to find contentment in the present moment, where the true magic of life happens. Don't allow your mind to wander to future times, advises Marco Aurelio. Focus on the here and now, where all possibilities lie. Acceptance is not just about passive resignation, but also about active recognition of the power we have to choose our response to life's circumstances. The power to choose what to think is one of the few things that still belongs to us, the philosopher-emperor reminds us. When we accept reality as it is, we are free to direct our energy towards what we can control, our thoughts, attitudes, and actions. When you accept what cannot be changed, it does not mean giving up on the desire for progress or improvement. On the contrary, it is the first step towards personal transformation and spiritual growth. Real change begins when we accept ourselves as we are, imperfections and everything, teaches Marcus Aurelius. By embracing our humanity, with all its flaws and weaknesses, we find the courage to face life's challenges with authenticity and integrity. We must remember Marcus Aurelius's valuable lesson. Acceptance of what cannot be changed is the foundation on which we build our mental resistance. It is important to learn to flow with the currents of life, find peace in the present moment, and cultivate serenity to face challenges with calm and courage. 4. Acceptance of suffering as part of life. In the course of human existence, we are faced with the inevitability of suffering. It is an intrinsic reality of our condition, a constant presence that we cannot avoid. In the face of this universal dilemma, Stoic philosophy, in particular the lessons of Marcus Aurelius, offer penetrating insight into how we can embrace suffering as an integral part of life and consequently strengthen our mental resilience. Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher-emperor, bequeathed us timeless teachings that echo through the centuries, highlighting the importance of accepting suffering as a fundamental principle for achieving inner peace and serenity. In his meditations, he reminds us, "If it doesn't make you better, it doesn't make you worse." This simple sentence encapsulates the essence of the Stoic attitude towards suffering. Recognize that suffering is an inevitable part of life, but also understand that its influence on us depends on how we choose to respond to it. Mental resistance, so valued by the Stoics, does not arise from the denial or suppression of suffering, but rather from the full acceptance of its presence. Instead of fighting life's vicissitudes, we are encouraged to embrace them as opportunities for growth and learning. In the words of Marcus Aurelius, "Pain is necessary, but suffering is optional. Herein lies a crucial distinction. While pain is an inevitable experience, suffering is a response we choose to internalize." Accepting this distinction is the first step to mastering mental toughness. Stoic wisdom invites us to adopt a posture of equanimity in the face of adversity. Instead of allowing ourselves to be consumed by despair or self-pity, we are challenged to cultivate a calm, unwavering mind. Marcus Aurelius reminds us, "Our lives are what our thoughts make of them." This statement highlights the importance of exercising control over our perception of suffering. Instead of allowing it to overwhelm us, we should strive to keep it in perspective, recognizing it as just a passing part of our journey. The practice of mindfulness plays a central role in the Stoic approach to suffering. Instead of getting lost in worries about the past or anxieties about the future, we are called to direct our attention to the present moment. Marcus Aurelius reminds us, "We waste the day worrying about the past or the future." This quote highlights the futility of worrying about what is beyond our control, distracting us from what really matters, the here and now. By cultivating this full awareness, we can face suffering with a clear and calm mind. Stoic philosophy encourages us to recognize the transience of all things, including suffering. Ultimately, nothing is permanent, and all pain will eventually pass. Marcus Aurelius reminds us, "Everything is ephemeral, time consumes everything." This understanding helps us contextualize our experiences of suffering within a broader perspective, reminding us that, like joy, pain is also fleeting. By accepting this fundamental truth, we can face suffering with renewed calm, confident that we will eventually find inner peace. Ultimately, the acceptance of suffering as an inevitable part of life is a fundamental lesson from the Stoic lessons of Marcus Aurelius. By adopting this perspective, we are able to master our mental resistance and cultivate unshakable serenity in the face of adversity. As he reminds us, "The man who does not tolerate the adversities of life with dignity and equanimity is ill-equipped for peace of mind." May we therefore embrace suffering as an opportunity for growth and self-transformation, thus finding lasting inner peace. 5. Detachment from other people's opinions. In a world full of dissenting voices and diverse opinions, the search for external approval often diverts us from the path of authenticity and integrity. Marcus Aurelius bequeathed to us a profound teaching about mental resistance, detachment from other people's opinions. This lesson, although simple in essence, is a crucial anchor for us to face the storms of life with calm and determination. In a busy marketplace, where people's voices blend into a constant hum, every word, every look, seems to carry with it an expectation, a demand for our attention or compliance. Faced with this tumultuous scenario, it is easy to lose our own voice, giving in to the weight of external expectations. However, the philosopher reminds us that what others say or think should not determine the course of our actions. In his Thoughts to Myself, he writes, "What others say and do is not my problem. My job is to be good." These words echo like a beacon of wisdom, guiding us through the turbulent waters of external influences. By letting go of other people's opinions, we make space to cultivate our own inner voice, our own values and principles. Instead of letting ourselves be carried away by the tide of external expectations, we can anchor ourselves firmly in who we really are, sailing confidently through the sea of life. Free from the invisible chains of external expectations, we are able to explore our true selves and embrace our authenticity with boldness and dignity. By adopting this mindset of detachment, we find an inner freedom that is not shaken by external criticism or judgment. We find a deep serenity that allows us to face life's challenges with courage and compassion. Marcus Aurelius teaches true strength lies in our ability to remain true to ourselves regardless of external circumstances. By letting go of other people's opinions, we find a solid foundation on which to build our mental and emotional resilience. It's a reminder that, ultimately, we are the only ones responsible for our own journey and the legacy we leave behind. By cultivating this mindset of detachment, we can flourish even in the face of the most difficult adversity, remaining true to our deepest principles and values. 6. Practice of virtue. On the vast stage of existence, the practice of virtue emerges as an ethical beacon, a moral compass that guides the human being's path towards moral excellence and personal flourishing. In this intricate journey, Marcus Aurelius's Stoic lessons resonate like a symphony of wisdom, inviting us to transcend life's vicissitudes and master mental endurance. It is in the tapestry of everyday life that the drama of mental resistance unfolds. Faced with the adversities that stand in our way, it is easy to succumb to the tyranny of emotions, give in to despair, or let ourselves be carried away by the current of impulses. However, it is precisely in these crucial moments that the practice of virtue reveals itself as a shining beacon, pointing to Stoicism as a safe haven amid the storms of existence. A lesson that we can extract from Marcus Aurelius's reflections is the importance of discernment. As skilled navigators on stormy seas, we must cultivate the ability to distinguish between that which is in our control and that which is beyond our control. By understanding that external circumstances are beyond our control, we can direct our efforts to what we can really influence, our own attitudes and behaviors. In a world full of uncertainties and setbacks, the virtue of serenity reveals itself as an anchor that keeps us firm in the midst of the storms. Instead of letting ourselves be swept away by the revolting tides of emotions, we can learn to cultivate inner calm, finding equanimity even in the face of the most severe adversities. As Marcus Aurelius stated, the man who has become rational easily dominates happiness and pain. Who is always serene is unshakable. Another fundamental virtue taught by the Stoics is courage, not in the sense of impulsive bravado, but as the inner strength that allows us to face life's challenges with dignity and resilience. Faced with the trials that come our way, it is necessary that we arm ourselves with the courage of a Stoic, seeing obstacles as opportunities for growth and self-transformation. However, the practice of Stoic virtue is not limited to just facing external difficulties. It also calls us to tame the storms that rage within us. The virtue of temperance invites us to cultivate control over our desires and passions, avoiding being carried away by irrational impulses and maintaining balance even in the face of the most seductive temptations. Ultimately, the virtue of wisdom reveals itself as the crown of Stoic practice, illuminating the path of the truth-seeker with the light of reason and discernment. As we contemplate the lessons of Marcus Aurelius, we are invited to delve into the depths of self-knowledge, to probe the abysses of our own soul in search of the wisdom that resides in its most intimate core. The practice of virtue according to the Stoic precepts of Marcus Aurelius is not an end in itself. but rather a means to achieve plenitude and personal fulfillment. By mastering mental resistance and cultivating the virtues that elevate us above the vicissitudes of life, we become architects of our own destiny, fearlessly navigating the turbulent waters of existence towards the safe haven of wisdom and serenity. 7. Practice gratitude. There is an ancient story, a narrative that echoes through the ages, about a Stoic master who walked among his disciples. His name was Marcus Aurelius, an emperor who stood out not only for his position of power, but for his wisdom and virtue. On a calm afternoon, as the sun sank below the horizon and the shadows lengthened, Marco Aurelio shared with his students a timeless lesson on the practice of gratitude. He began his story by describing an ordinary man whose life was filled with adversity and challenges. This man, whose name was lost in the sands of time, faced daily the trials of existence, each one seeming more arduous than the last. However, amid the shadows of his journey, he discovered a ray of light that illuminated his path: gratitude. As he observed the world around him, the man found reasons to be grateful. It wasn't material riches or fleeting glories that made him feel grateful, but rather the small, everyday blessings that often go unnoticed. He learned to appreciate the warmth of the sun on freezing winter mornings, the ephemeral beauty of the flowers that bloomed in spring, and even the tears that washed his soul in moments of anguish. By sharing this story with his disciples, Marcus Aurelius not only highlighted the importance of gratitude, but also offered a Stoic view on how to master mental toughness. In the teachings of this ancient philosophy, we find the idea that true strength lies in accepting what is beyond our control and transforming adversity into opportunities for growth. The practice of gratitude, therefore, is not limited to simply recognizing the good things that happen to us, but also to finding value in the difficulties we face. It's a constant reminder that even in the darkest of times, there is always something to be grateful for. This perspective enables us to transcend external circumstances and cultivate an inner serenity that makes us invulnerable to the storms of life. Just as the man in the story learned to find gratitude in the midst of his tribulations, we too can follow this path. As we look beyond the superficialities of the material world and connect with the core of our own existence, we discover an inexhaustible source of gratitude that resides within ourselves. It is this inner gratitude that strengthens us and enables us to face challenges with courage and dignity. Therefore, as we reflect on the Stoic lessons of Marcus Aurelius, let us always remember the importance of practicing gratitude in our lives. May we learn from the example of the great philosopher, finding beauty and meaning even in the most challenging situations. Because it is in gratitude that we discover the key to strengthening mental resistance and achieving true inner freedom. Amid the turbulence of everyday life, the Stoic lessons of Marcus Aurelius offer us a guide of wisdom to navigate with firmness and resilience. May we, as students of this timeless philosophy, incorporate into our lives serenity in the face of adversity, the courage to face challenges, and the determination to remain true to ourselves. As we ponder the depth of these teachings and their relevance in our lives, I invite those who reach the end of this video to leave their feedback. Don't forget to like and comment on the phrase, "I stayed until the end." Let's continue exploring and applying these valuable lessons together on our path of growth and self-discovery.